This is an international podcast transmission. Is anyone out there? If you're listening, you've reached the No Fixed Agenda podcast.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We got special guest in the room today. Mike D or Mike Delgado, Michael Delgado. What do you, Mike? Your Instagram is Mike D. Is that what you like to go by?
I mean, there's a period of time I didn't want people to look up my name.
Yeah.
But growing up, everyone called me Mike D.
All right.
And but my name is Michael Delgado.
Yeah.
I mean, so now when I'm talking to the homies and stuff like that, I'm just Mike.
Right.
I go back to neighborhoods sometimes, it's Mike D. And sometimes I still introduce myself like that to new people and things. But to be honest, with all this like philanthropy stuff, I guess,
Yeah.
Was it kissing babies, shaking hands kind of thing?
Yeah.
I do it proper and I introduce myself as Mike.
Michael. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's got to be a business side and a casual side.
Well, we're very casual here at No Fixed Agenda. But you have, I've been low-key stalking you because I love your mission and your organization, your nonprofit that you do. It spoke volumes to me just on social media. I first heard it from Tina Dominguez, who used to work out at Ironmongers. And then Vera, one of my coaches, did your wife's strong woman competition over at North County Fitness and Performance. And immediately saw you, and I was like, this is a connection that I think we've been wanting to make because of the heavy breathing foundation that you got going on and why I wanted to talk to you about it. What sparked it, the message, and everything. I think our audience is going to just love to hear the story of who you are as a person, one, and what the organization is doing for the community, two, because I think it's a huge, huge impact that spoke volumes to, I think, who you are as a person and your journey. So talk to us a little bit about who you are first, and so that our audience knows who we're talking about here.
Well, I'm Mike D, and I'm a man of many hats. So the foundation is just one thing, but besides that, I'm pretty much a full-time coach. I don't work too much in person no more, but, online world, I coach about 30 plus clients, I guess I could say international, right? But
they're in another country?
Yeah.
They're just international, but yeah.
I've had clients in like Spain, Ireland, UK, I mean, there was a time I was coaching up to like upwards of like 50 to 60 people, and I learned that that's a little too much, a little time consuming. You know what I'm saying? And I pulled back, especially trying to balance all the work I do with the foundation. Everyone sees like the easy stuff on social media, but they don't really see how much back and forth I really, like today alone, dogs got to eat first. I had to get my training in, I'm not really chasing powerlifting right now because I don't really have the time to be that selfish to be at the level I want to be, because the priority is my foundation and the people I work with, I guess. The people I work for would be my people. I'm talking about the students. But, 4 a.m. wake up today, drove down to Compound Gym and off Marina Boulevard.
Wow.
Trained there, got a solid lower session in like 60 minutes. The reason why I went down there is I had a meeting, next door with another facility real quick, I bolt back home, update about 15 programs, spend the last 3.5 hours behind a computer. And it's not a quick update. You know what I mean? People don't hire me for a program. They hire me to review their lifts, give them feedback, give them intent for the week. And, I'm good at what I do. I don't really advertise my coaching so much because I'm so busy with the foundation. And I always say, like, especially with the coaching side of things, I have a business card for the foundation. I don't have a business card for my coaching. My clients are my walking, talking business cards. When they go on the platform and they succeed, they bench press 500 pounds or whatever it is, that's my business card. They talk for me,
That.
But when I go out into these places where, I'm in these rooms where I never thought I would be, with senators and things like that, shaking hands with the mayor and things like that. Now cops are lining up to talk to me rather than chasing me out.
Where they're questioning you, now they're actually just like wanting to talk to you.
Their business card, because they want to collaborate with me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, that's where, I pass out the business card and like, there's a lot to running a 501c. There's a lot to where we got to today. And it looks like we're doing the most, And we are. We're like, it's gas to pedals to the floor. I'm going as hard as I can. But like, believe me, I've learned a lot about, I think we've been operating since COVID was 2020.
Yeah.
So we've created it. The idea came in 2020. It took a year to get approved by the state, January 2021, to be like, okay, you are an official 501c3.
Wow.
And so for the last 4 years, I've been running it, especially this last year. So much momentum has built up. Man, I tell you what, like I thought I knew about business, but I thought I knew it all about business beforehand. No, I learned a lot about, if you want to learn about business, start one. If you want to learn about people, start a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Because, there's snakes, there's snake oil all over the place, and snaky, shady, I call them used car salesmen all over the place. And philanthropy and nonprofit realm, holy cow, it's a whole different level. It's almost like, I don't want to say you don't trust nobody, but there's a lot of fake smiles out there. And I completely have burnt myself out over, can I say this polite?
You don't have to be polite.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
But I burn myself out for no reason. You know what I'm saying? And but the universe, my higher power is the universe, right? Some people call it God. I just call it universe so everyone can relate to it.
Yeah.
But that universe has kicked me in the dick plenty of times. And I've learned a lot about myself and my own resilience this last year and what it's really like to do this stuff. And it's ain't for everybody. It's a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like people think, oh, you're a nonprofit, so you just got kindness to your heart. Absolutely, I do. But to be able to do that takes so much energy because, again, no one's paying us. These grants, and I was like, oh, you got a grant for $80,000. Yeah, and I just got paid for it, and just a part of it, right? I just got it last week after assuming it was going to be here back in like May or June. And I've been operating on fumes, my own savings, maxing out my own credit cards and things like that. Knowing it's going to be there. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Did I get depressed? Fuck yeah, I got depressed. But it's a different type of depression, bro.
Yeah.
My depression, I used to be depressed sitting in a bathroom stall with 12 other dudes sharing a fucking needle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now it's like, I see the icing on the cake. I see the big picture. And again, it's just all kinds of lessons this last year. But it's the best. Fucking best. I wouldn't give it up for anything.
So I'm quite interested. How did you get into like the nonprofit realm? Like what got you to a point where, because everything that you're doing from what I've seen is for at-risk youth or at-risk individuals.
At-risk individuals. And I'm trying to, I don't like labeling them that no more. Because if I call them at risk, they believe they're at risk.
Ooh.
I like that. Okay.
I love that, dude.
And now I want to call them underserved.
Underserved. Okay.
Underserved. If on paperwork, I got right at risk to help get
chills, man.
I got right on paperwork to help get funding and stuff like that. Absolutely. But really what it is underserved individuals. When you label somebody something, then you're going to, just like how I was when I was slamming dope and doing all kinds of, not necessarily that crazy yet. It's funny as it sounds, slamming dope not being that crazy, but being labeled as like a thief and being labeled as a monster and all these things, like, well, might as well do that, right?
Yeah.
And so I was sitting in a meeting, or actually I was asked to come speak at one of the schools last week. One of our board members, his name is Martin Leyva. He was a professor at Cal State San Marcos, and now he's up there in Torrance, I believe, at a community college, and he also works at continuation schools. But he was doing a meeting about gang prevention or gang awareness and just signs to look for and how to talk to the kids about it. And when he said that, I'm like, oh shit, that's an aha moment for me. It's like, I'm just labeling them. So I don't want to label them. Just underserved.
Underserved.
Underserved, because that's really what it is. And so it's not just underserved youth, it's underserved, there's adults as well.
Yeah.
But the big push is with the youth. With adults, what we try to do is teach accountability. But that can be a slippery slope for sure.
Yeah.
Because adults, old dogs don't like to learn new tricks. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to teach an adult accountability. And I mean, I'm a living testimony to that too. But if we really want to plant seeds of change for the future, where's it got to start? It's got to start with the kids. It's got to start with the youth. It's got to start with these young adults because they're not in control yet. As much as they think they are, they're not. They can't control who their parents are. They can't control their neighborhood, surroundings, playground, playthings, school, right? Their community. And so if I only focus on the adults, then I'm losing the battle. It's the kids, and they're the ones who are going to be the most easy to mold. And I mean this in the most positive way because they're still sponges. I mean, they're kids until they're about 21, 24 still, mentally and all that good stuff, dude. But like with them, a lot of this is like, there's so much carryover and crossover from my coaching. A lot of stuff they try to teach me in AA and NA and all these institutions and jails and things like that, mental hospitals, didn't make sense until I got into powerlifting and coaching and finding how to become like the best strength athlete, how to be, because it takes discipline, right? But like with my coaching, I realized, I had to plant seeds of change with them because the easiest people for me to coach are the youth. They got no ego about it. They look at me, it's like, yeah, that dude, yeah, he looks fucking cool. But like also like he like, you know what I'm saying? He's like, he's not some square dare officer. You know what I'm saying? He's not running some scheme on me, coming here just saying no. But he's been there, done that. And honestly, he knows a thing or two about a thing or two when it comes to get stronger. So I'm just going to listen to him. If he tells me, if I tell someone, like, hey, you've been lifting wrong, an adult, and they're benching 500 pounds and they're stuck, and it's like, well, I already got the 500-pound bench. I tell them they've been lifting wrong. Like, what do you mean? But with a kid, it's like, hey, you just been lifting wrong. Oh, really? Show me that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's where the change is going to happen.
Yeah, that's the most seeds you're going to be able to plant there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the statement of underserved, because you gave me chills when you said it, because I too come from that environment, right? Where I firmly believe that if I had a lot of the resources that I have today accessible to me as a child, right? Things might have been different.
Absolutely.
But where did you come up with that term, first of all? Was it something you just thought about, or is that something that resonated with you as your upbringing?
The underserved part?
Yeah.
Like I was saying, my homie who was talking at the gang awareness thing, he mentioned that in the whole label. That was kind of like my aha moment, right?
Yeah.
But you're talking about how the foundation came up. Like, go back to your question, basically.
Yeah. So that's what I'm kind of curious about is to go back even further.
Right.
What is your history with what got you into powerlifting, and what was your youth like? Because we've obviously stated here just in the brief couple minutes that you were recovering addict, and you'd gone through the troubles through your youth. Like, what was the path that got you to this point? And then really, like, I'm always interested in, starting up a nonprofit. Like, what's the idea? Like, hey, this is what I need to serve. This is who I need to serve, and this is the way we're going to do it. How did you get to that point?
I got you. Yep. So there's a lot to that. And we'll start, if you want to start like where it started. I mean,
man, let's hear it.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about like where I started, how it started when I was like fucking 3 years old. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just saying you're gonna have to kind of keep me on track, because
that's okay. I can do that.
He's used to that. So I'm the color. You and I are very similar. We'll ramble forever, and he'll quickly guide us back.
I'll keep you in the guardrails.
Yeah.
I'll say right now, like, I was definitely undiagnosed ADHD girl.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying? Definitely undiagnosed.
Ding, baby.
I have not been diagnosed. Yeah. I have not been diagnosed, but I know for a fucking fact, because my son has it. And he doesn't have learning disabilities, he just learns different. Ooh. And so in the schools, from first grade he's a fifth grader now, but from first grade to third grade, there's a struggle with him, and he's very sweet. It's just he's either all in or all out. And I'm the same way. If, like, for example, I love music, right? If I find a band and I like it, I become obsessed with it, and I have to learn everything about it. I just have to, where they come from, what their names are, like, I mean, the neighborhood they grow up in, what their influences are. I can tell you every name, like, track record, stuff like that. I'm obsessive about it. But if you're trying to teach me like trigonometry, I ain't going to retain anything.
Yeah.
Right. It can even be reading. If I'm reading something that I want to learn, I learn easy if I want to learn it. I absorb everything. But then, like, say it's something I'm assigned to read, I could be reading pages, but my mind drifts, right? And so going to these, they're called IEP meetings, especially like special education, these meetings about my son, and they're diagnosing him and saying all these things. I'm like, oh, I do that. And I was talking to my wife about it. I'm like, I think I have ADHD. She's like, I've been telling you I have ADHD. I was like,
she's like, fuck, damn, baby.
And I was like, should I get checked out? She's like, nah, like, you're doing the thing, like, you got your tools and stuff like that. I kind of create my own system and stuff, like system and structure. And a lot of it comes from strength training. But how it started, the reason why I'm saying that is because when I was a kid, I had undiagnosed ADHD, and I got in a lot of trouble because I could not sit down and focus in class, right? And starting around I was kicked out of every preschool ever. And I mean, that's just preschool. And what I'm saying is, like, how do you get kicked out of preschool? You know what I'm saying?
All you gotta do is color in the lines, bro.
Right. I grew up in Norwalk in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And my parents were both welders down at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard. And, they're out the door at 4 a.m. They're back home at 5 p.m. They're blue collar working. Anyways, by the time, like I said, I got kicked out of every preschool I went to, and I really can't recall why. I mean, I ran bunctious kid. I grew up loving, at the age of 3 or 4, my hero was Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator 2. And all I watched was professional wrestling. And that's all I cared about. I just wanted to be a wrestler.
We're kindred spirits, bro. I swear to God, we are, bro.
So when I was on the Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, those guys were my heroes growing up. That's what I wanted to be. I always wanted to be a big guy with tattoos that could lift. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was it. The strongman events would be on like at midnight too. Not midnight, but I mean, there's like, they would be on. And
ESPN.
Yeah.
They were on ESPN.
I watched that stuff in my parents' house. And like, I was always uncomfortable in my own skin about being chubby, but these strongman guys are chubby. And no one can deny, I may be fat, but no one can deny strength. And strength always came, I even knew at a young age, like strength kind of came easy to me, picking up logs in my backyard, putting them over my head and stuff like that. I always had an interest in it. But by the time I got into kindergarten, either kindergarten or first grade, I just remember like on the playgrounds, like I wanted to own the playground. I would yell at kids, scream at kids' face, and want to body slam them and stuff like that. So by the time I got into elementary school, I believe what happened was I was given what was called, because I was kicked out of all these preschools, I had a correctional babysitter, right? What a crazy term.
Interesting,
and this lady's name, I mean, her name's not important. I guess I don't need to say it. It's probably not even here no more. But either way, this lady did not like me. And I was under her care from, I believe, I'll just say first grade till we moved here in 5th grade. I moved here in like beginning of 5th grade. But this woman was abusive to me. Basically, I was under emotional and physical abuse from this woman from, first grade to that period of time when I moved. And I'm talking about like physical abuse where like she had high school sons and the other kids in the care or whatever.
The program, yeah.
She would assign them to like beat me up and torment me,
Wow.
And there's a lot of mental stuff behind it too. Like I was scared of the dark. I was scared of scary movies. So she made me watch scary movies. When I get time out, she'd put me in the outside tool shed in the dark and tell me like these monsters and stuff are gonna come get me. Terrified. And
what the fuck?
Yeah. So like
Jesus.
I remember talking to my therapist about this, and she's like, "Oh, like went through trauma so early." And I'm like, "I guess so," but like that's what I had to go through. And then people might be like, "Well, why didn't you say anything to your parents?" Well, I did, but the thing is, they didn't believe me, right?
Because they thought you were acting out.
Yeah, I had like the background.
Yeah.
And so the scrapes and bruises just comes from like playing hard kind of thing. And then also she would say like stuff like, I'm dead serious. She's put my head in the oven. Put my head in the oven and held like I remember holding like a knife up to me, saying stuff like, "You ever say anything, I'm gonna get you." And as a little kid, you believe that because you believe adults.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't say anything. I just sucked it up, And it was pretty rough. Sometimes there's good times, as in like with the kids that were there that I was able to play with and get along with, and other kids in the neighborhood and stuff like that. So I would try my best to be my best. So I couldn't be in the house, but something struck her the wrong way. But she had an abusive husband. I seen it, and
just mirroring her own actions.
Yeah, it was taking out on me. And I don't know if it was because I was I'm half Mexican, half white. And I did get a little bit of prejudice coming up because I didn't speak the language.
Fuck yeah.
And I don't know if that was it or whatever. But
she was Mexican?
Yeah, she was full born. Yeah. I mean, all the way 100%, And so like, I mean, I had problems, man. That's why like, I used to shake anytime, around people. I grew up very socially awkward. But she even like used to tell me like, I wasn't even allowed to go in houses. She'd go visit her friends. She'd leave me in the car with the car windows up in the middle of summer. I just remember they were sweating, almost like suffocating kind of thing. She had to pull me out of the car and stuff. And that's what I went through just with that, At the same time, I grew up in a household that was it just wasn't right. I don't know what to call it. My mom wasn't abusive, but my dad, he wasn't abusive either. He was abusive to my mother in the early. I love my dad and I love my mom with all my heart. We'll talk more about it, I guess. But either way, my dad was a raging alcoholic from the time, I was born until he went away in like 2nd grade. And the reason why he went away is because he caught an attempted murder case on my mother.
Oof.
And I witnessed it.
Oof.
All at the same time, I'm going through babysitting and stuff, the correctional babysitting and stuff.
Violence upon violence.
Yeah, so I grew up around violence. You know what I mean? I see my dad beat my mom. I saw my dad take a shot at my mom with a rifle. He was mad one night, and because my brother took off. I have 4 brothers, 2 sisters. And most of them have their problems too.
Where
you know?
were you land in the line of
I'm the
sibling?
baby.
You're the
I'm
baby.
the baby.
Wow.
And check this out. My
Oh.
4 brothers, 2 sisters all come from a previous marriage that my mom had. And so the age gap is kind of crazy. My oldest brother's in his 60s. I'm 30 and I'm about to be 40 in February.
Yeah.
The next youngest would be the baby sister of the family, right? She is 14 years older than me. And so I was really kind of raised more like an only child, right? But sometimes they would come home because they were young adults and they needed a crash or somewhere to stay. And my dad was very close. Part of the reason my dad married my mom is because he loved the kids. You know, most of them were out of the house when he came around, right? And
So you're the only sibling that's from your dad and your mom.
yeah,
The rest of them are all from. So all 4
Yeah,
brothers,
half.
3
They're all
sisters,
half.
all
Yeah,
half.
siblings.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
We're all half. If you like saw us together, like we don't look like,
Yeah.
you know, like they're 100% white, and my dad was a Mexican dude, you know,
Wow.
and but my dad got along with them really well, and he pretty much raised like my sister Diana, my brother Randy, not raised but came in the picture when they were teens. Right?
Mm.
Either way, my brother one night rode off of my dad's motorcycle, and for whatever reason he was very upset about it. So I guess he was out there. He had a bullwhip. This is in Norwalk. He hit in the bullwhip sidewalk, whatever. I don't know. And I just remember my mom, telling me, like, hey, just go be in your room. I was in the bathtub. And she pulled me out of the bath wet. And was like, just go be in your room. And, I was, I heard like a lot of raging, snuck out, saw my dad actually pull the trigger at my mom. He missed. My mom dipped. And I just went back to my room. And I hid in there. I mean, I just stayed in my bed.
How old are you?
It was before I was in second grade. Or first grade.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Christ.
And I just hid in my room. I just stayed in my room. And the next thing you know, window didn't bust open, but someone came through my window and it was LAPD. And they had pulled me out of the house and hid me down at a neighbor's house. And I just remember helicopters all night.
Looking for your dad.
He was in the house.
Shit.
He was in the house.
Stand off.
Yeah, yes. And I didn't really know the full story till later. Eventually the night ended. My dad walked out, gave it up. No harm to him. You know what I mean? No harm to anyone. My mom didn't get, he took a shot at my mom, took a shot at my brother. He missed. And luckily, right? And my dad was gone from my life for like the next year and a half. So he came back when I was in like second grade. So my mom actually decided she didn't press charges.
Wow.
She didn't press charges. And as part of this is, she always said this, that's not your dad. That's not your dad when he drinks. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Makes
I
sense.
remember like even older, like down the line when he started, because my dad came back, he was sober. And like later down the story, started drinking again. I remember I used to get real mad. I beat him up one time.
Was he sober through like white knuckling it, or he went through a
He
program?
went through a program, went through AA
Okay.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fast forward a long time, but one time he started drinking again, and I beat him up, and I felt real bad and guilty about it because I beat him up bad. And my mom's like, "Don't be mad. You didn't beat up your dad. You beat up the other guy." That's
Oof.
true. But rewind back then, we can talk about all that later too if you want. But rewind it back, my dad was out of the picture for a minute. So by the time before I was in second grade, I went through that. I was going through all that physical stuff at the babysitter. And that was kind of it, And
It's a shitty foundation, though.
pretty shitty foundation to start with. And like I said, it was hard for me to make friends. I didn't know how to. I was very uncomfortable in my own skin. I had very low self-esteem. And then, we moved, eventually, like I said, my dad came back. When he came back, it was awesome. Those were really good years.
Mm.
And when he was
There's a lot of
sober.
healing in in those moments.
Yeah, between the family for sure.
Yeah.
Like we had a lot of good times. Again, like I was still going through what I was going through with the babysitter. We moved here like in fifth grade.
The babysitter came with you?
No. She was older. But I mean, like she stayed down there. Like when we left, I was like, yes, I have to deal with her no more.
Right.
That was like a secret I kept from my parents until I was in like 8th or 9th grade or something.
Mm.
You know?
Damn.
But once we moved here, we moved from, so check it out, from Norwalk to Rancho Penasquitos. I have a big,
that's like
It's a
from
li-
that's
a
like
little
from
shift.
Compton to fucking Coronado,
Yeah,
bro.
that's a little
That's
shift,
like
yeah.
from Compton to Bel Air, bro. That's some
Yeah.
fucking. Go ahead.
right? And so like, I definitely had a hard time
Adjusting. Fuck yeah.
like, adjusting because like the kids weren't the kind of kids I was used to. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And like, I really wouldn't consider myself like a troublemaker, but I was labeled as like a bad kid when I got down there. And then
So probably all your transcripts came from your school.
yeah,
I only know this because I had the similar scenarios,
Mhm.
right? Where you come from one school to another, you get kicked out of one school to
Yeah.
another, and all of a sudden, dude, you're like, they don't know half the story. They just see fucking
right.
lines on a paper, man.
Yeah. My grades weren't necessarily like bad, but the problem was the San Diego school district, Poway Unified, was years ahead of what the school I was going.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I remember in 5th grade, like my teacher had to stay after school every day just to try to catch me up on like math because I was so far behind.
Was that the first time you ever experienced like true support?
I guess so. I really looked forward to it. And when my mom gives him a lot of credit, a lot of love. I mean, I've heard her, when she talks about him, she always talks about him really well because, I never really thought about it, but like he went over and beyond what he would do. You know what I'm saying? And she appreciated because that first year when we moved down here, my father, what happened was the shipyard closed during the Clinton administration. And my mother got transferred to work at Coronado, North Island Naval Air Base. My dad never received the transfer, right? He stayed in Los Angeles for a year before he moved down here, closing down the shipyard to make money. So I only saw my dad Friday night through Sunday night, right back to LA. And for that first year down here, my only real friend was like my mom because I had a hard time making friends down here because I just did not relate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We always look for other mirroring people in our relationships, right? People that look like us, people that understand us, people that speak our language, for fuck's sake. It's hard when you got somebody that doesn't understand not being nurtured as a child.
Yeah.
Right? You come from that environment of nurturing or not being nurtured, and all these kids are coming from what I used to call back in the day normal, when normal doesn't even exist, right? Normal people, and then you sit there and you're like, it's like they're talking Chinese and you're talking English, bro.
Yeah.
So I totally get the
for
sentiment.
Sure.
Yeah.
And like, I had one friend, his name was Po Wen, the Chinese dude. And the only reason why they paired me up with him because he was another chubby kid. He didn't have any friends, But like that was my dog though. That was for that year. Like when I had school, like that's who I kicked it with. And I tell you what, when kids try to pick on him, like I didn't let that shit happen. I got suspended my first day of school.
Yeah.
Because some guy tried to I immediately paired up on him. And, they paired me with him, right? And I think at lunch someone picked on him. I kicked this dude right in the nuts.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In Los Angeles, I wouldn't even get a phone call about that.
Yeah.
My parents wouldn't even know. It was
And now
like,
you're
go to the
like,
nurse's office,
yeah.
cool off. I got suspended the first freaking day because they had what's called zero tolerance policy down here. I'm like, what's that? Like,
like as long as they were back in LA, if there was no gun involved, you're good.
And so but that was my dog that first year. But after school, I was trying to catch up on math. I definitely felt dumb because everyone called me dumb and stuff like that, but it is what it is. But I got it to where I needed to go. And after that, the next year is going into middle school. My dad was back down here. So I had my dad regular.
They gave him a job down here, or he relocated?
Ended up, he just came down here and he didn't get transferred. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to pick up woodworking.
Yeah.
He's like, if I can cut steel, I can cut wood. And he ended up working as a cabinet maker, pretty much the rest of his life, But my dad was real handy. He was an artist too. And he built, by time, he passed, but he used to build guitars. He could make anything he wanted. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant man. And like I said, his art was his crafts, and he just made it happen. So he worked for a guy as a cabinet maker, but then he did side things where what do you like demo, install, or you want to build guitar, whatever it was. And he was really obsessed with mission style furniture. Right. He said that was like the anarchist of woodworking or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. That's what he did. And he's phenomenal at it. It's a shame that, down the line, he kind of lost the game again, but things were good at home until that happened, but again, that's super far in the future, but everything was cool in like middle school ish. Like, again, I was just kind of like, not a square, but just kind of like a wallflower. I had like, very close knit friends, but still had trouble making new friends, right? And I think at the end, I always just wanted like attention. You know, it didn't matter if it was positive or negative. And there was this kid, he had a funny name. I'm not going to say it. You'll probably see this. You know what I mean? I don't need to stir the pot 20 plus years fucking later, but it's a silly name. But either way, he sucked. He's a douchebag, right? And I remember like running in PE, he would hawk loogies on the back of my shirt and stuff like that, call me names, just do stupid shit in the hallway. And I just lost my cool one day. He walked up to me one morning, I think it was like 7th grade, walked up to me one morning and said some shit. And I just lost him. I grabbed his face and I fucking cracked him in the tree, busted his face open.
Oh, shit.
Right? The reason why I'm bringing this up is because the next, I remember I picked his ass up. I was like, I'm gonna carry you to the nurse's office. If you rat me out, it's gonna get fucking worse, It's just kid shit, But either way, he can handle it, right? He did his dirt too. Yeah. But anyways, the next day we had the same first period PE class. And in PE, in the first period, they had us all gather in like the performing arts room, right? So we could do like the Pledge of Allegiance and roll call and morning announcements. I remember the principal came, right? And pointed me out. The crowd said, come with me. I remember looking over at the kid. And, I'm like, you better not. He's like, I didn't say nothing, Like in the principal's office, he's like, you know what you did? Yeah. Cracked his face in a tree. Right?
Ratted yourself out.
Yeah. He's like, you did what? I was
ratted yourself out, bro.
I was like, what am I here for? He's like, aren't you Mark Delgado? I was like, no, I'm Mike Delgado. He's like, oh, we got this wrong. Some kid named Mark called 911 on the payphone. I'm like, oh, you got the wrong guy, right? Yeah. Anyways, fast forward. What happened was these people that used to pick on me, I remember coming out of the office, but these people that used to pick on me all of a sudden want to be my friend because they saw me beat, fuck that kid up. You know what I'm saying? And from there, that's when I'm like, okay, when I do bad, people like me, So I started running around with these kids, this other crew, and what they did in their spare time was they broke into middle schools. And so that's what I kind of started picking up with them, right? Kind of stupid. I didn't like going to school here and I'm breaking into school.
Do like take shit or what?
Yeah, just take stuff and try, the dream was to pawn stuff. I don't even think we ever pawned anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so they're doing stupid shit. We're doing stupid shit. And by the time I was in 8th grade, I was arrested by my sir.
By your dare officer.
Yeah,
Juvie.
Yeah, no, I didn't go to juvie because I only went with them on like one thing. So all that happened to me was I got like possession of like stolen property, things like that. That's kind of like, again, it kind of just falls in the path. Like, I came back from, like, I got suspended for quite a few weeks. When I came back, I was kind of like Mr. Popular on campus. Oh, he's that guy, And I remember my
Nobody wanted to fuck with you.
Kind of, yeah. And then the yearbook, everyone's like, hey, let's go steal some shit together sometime. You know what I mean? Leaving their names and numbers and stuff like that. All of a sudden, people want to be my friend. And, carry that over into high school.
So getting into that and getting into the powerlifting thing and addiction and arrests and all like that is what you grew up with as far as middle school and kind of that scenario of that lifestyle. Does that carry into how, like, the way you acted and the way what you got into high school? Like I guess I was on your website before you came in and you talked about how you got into powerlifting, and this was interesting with what you said there is a lot of schools wouldn't let kids go into weight rooms unless they were part of the athletic teams. Yeah. That was the same way where I grew up is you had to be a part of a program to go. You just couldn't go to
you were a basketball player, football player, wrestler. Exactly.
Right. So kind of how all of this kind of intermingles into is like, how does that transition into your childhood, transition into the powerlifting, and what else is going on as the extracurricular side of things?
Yeah. So I actually started, I wanted to be in the gym. My parents couldn't afford a gym membership.
High school?
Middle school.
Oh, got it.
But so, we can fast forward to high school, but what happened was during middle school, I wrestled. I would wrestle, and they had a program called the Ironman program. And that gave me access to the gym.
Ooh.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? And so I remember the only thing I ever run from is the cops. You know what I'm saying? In fact, that's the joke. The only thing I'll ever run from is the cops. But I would run in that Ironman program. If it could run like 1 or 2 miles before we actually got access to the weights. I would run just so I could have access to the weights, and I would do wrestling just so I could have access to the weights. But the thing was, I would lose access to the weights. When with my GP, I couldn't maintain the GP.
Mm.
Again, it's, yeah, I know I gave you guys quite a bit of story right there. There's a lot going on, but I always wanted to lift. There was an opportunity to do it, and I ran with it. But the problem was, again, I'm either all the way in or all the way out with my style of learning, and I would lose the ability to have access to a facility. And not only did I lose access to the facility, I lost access to the athletic department of the wrestling crew. And the whole point of that is what? What's the whole point of youth sports? It's in the schools. One, it's community building. Two, provides positive mentorship. And because of my learning, I don't call them disabilities, but my learning style, and I couldn't maintain it, I lost access. And again, during that period of time, like the story I've been telling, I was just craving attention. And so I found mentorship in the wrong places. By the time, when I was in middle school, I was hanging out with dudes that were in their 20s, dude, smoking pot and doing all stuff like that. I didn't start using yet. When I started using, what I was about to say, once we got into high school, that's when I started using, because I had access to that stuff. I knew people that could buy us all. I knew people that could sell us. And that's what made me popular, right? So I became that guy, and I ran with that. I was trying to say, yeah, I got dressed up. I'm a dare officer and came back, became the popular guy, but not like became popular for being bad. And I ran with
for the wrong
that.
reasons.
So I ran with that through high school. And in high school is when that's when I started using. When I started using, like, my first time really knowing I was drinking. Sometimes my parents would leave glass in the fridge and I thought it was Sprite, but it was champagne. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, when I would drink or I would smoke or a line, Coke, whatever, like by the time I was 14, that's when I first did cocaine, first time 14 years old. It made me feel fucking comfortable.
Did you? I want to talk about this because
right.
yes, because I'm gonna, and I was officially diagnosed with ADHD when I was 42 years old. I'm 48 right now. And when they diagnosed me, I'm not joking, I broke down and I freaking cried. Only not because I had a diagnosis. It was the aha moment,
right?
Because they talked to me as soon as they freaking told me what I had.
Like empowering.
It was like, fuck. Like, even right now, I want to fucking cry as I'm telling you, because I felt normal when I was high, man.
Right.
I felt fucking normal, dude.
It dialed you in.
Yeah, it dialed me the fuck in. And I was like, this is why I mean, I had similar to what you had, like the upbringing, lack of nurturing, all this other stuff. And I love my mom to death. And my community that I built and that we work on is a direct reflection of who my mom is, right? Or was. And so, like, when I started using again, like, it was first weed, and it dialed, it kind of just like slowed everything down.
Right.
No more racing thoughts, right? Alcohol, no more racing thoughts, right? And then all of a sudden, I try Coke, and I'm like, whoa, like, I can actually catch on to what people are saying and doing, and I can understand and comprehend. When I did meth, I was like, just fucking normal, dude.
Right.
And then, so when I got diagnosed at 42, they said, well, you want Adderall? I said, well, I'm a recovering addict. No. And they're like, well, we can kind of do some things and to kind of figure shit out. Like, they tried to do some other non-narcotic medications, right? And I tried those, but it really didn't help. So then I finally agreed to doing Adderall. Yeah. And it was under very strict guidelines.
Right.
Like, they were like, okay, here's 5 milligrams. You used to fill my prescription up for 5 days, period. Because I only needed it for 5 days to focus on what I was doing. Yeah. Right? And I did it. I swear to you, man, Mike, it felt like I was using again.
Right.
And I stopped.
Speed of speed, bro.
Speed of speed, bro. Yeah. And I was like,
once you make that feeling when your brain starts crawling with it.
Yeah, dude. I was like, no, I can't. Like, I don't want it anymore.
Can't do it.
Like, I'm not doing it anymore, right? And so they were like, well, you didn't officially relapse. And I said, I don't give a shit about a relapse. Like, I do, but reality is I more so care about, like, having all my other tools, because that's what made me feel more confident in who I was as a person. And I like what you just said earlier about disability. It's not disability, it was a learning style. Right. And so now I know my learning style. I know what I need to do. I can put all kinds of non-medicated tools in my fucking toolbox to make things happen.
Yeah, having ADHD, like, I tell my son, like, don't be embarrassed of that stuff.
Fuck yeah.
Like, it was like, everyone else should be jealous of you. It's like, we have a superpower. It's good, just because they, like, we operate on a, multi-processor, dude.
Yeah,
you have
baby.
all these different task windows open and get all these different things done. And the normal person like me, just saying what my day was today, normal person be beat. You know, I'm ready. After this, I got one-on-one. I got other things to do. You know what I'm saying? I look forward to doing it because I just check it off the list and it makes me feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Baby.
I feel accomplished, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so interesting to me. You talk about, you know, we're talking about the 90s, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Like late 80s and 90s as far as ADHD and you guys going to school and how ADHD is actually diagnosed and looked upon now. Like it would be, do you guys ever like think back from the school perspective of, okay, now that I know what I know, how would it have changed
Oh, for sure.
the way that I, well, not only learned, but grew up and acted in some of those situations? Does that ever kind of cross your mind a little bit?
I mean, I'll let you. If
Oh,
you
yeah. I think a lot of it's the labeling thing.
Yeah.
You know, special education back then meant you
were dumb.
Well, you say
Like,
special education.
They
it's like,
literally,
you know?
the school literally told my mom that they thought I was mentally retarded.
right. And you got to
Legitimately,
I'm
bro.
not trying to be mean, but like even having ADHD would qualify you to be on the short bus.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's the kids that have like real disabilities on that bus, and you're like, you know, everyone sees you. You know, especially kids. Our kids are judgmental, bro.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
But now, like, special education doesn't mean that.
No.
You know, my son, like, it's so different. Like, I love what the school has done for my son. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, you know, if he can't finish his work, he's pulled out of class in a quiet environment, and he gets to finish his work. And you know what? And that's later down the story too. He don't have to do that no more because through strength training, he pulled it out. And we found a system and structure that works. But it's like back then, that's why labeling is so dangerous. That's why I said I don't like call them at risk. You know what I'm saying? You label them, you become that thing.
That's what I was going to
See,
say.
nice little circle back around.
Yo, that's what I was going to say. It's like
underserved. See,
you talk about like labeling is so thing, and ADHD for Men is a book.
Mhm.
I'll send it to you so you can kind of take a look at it. But it talks a lot about that particular topic, right?
Mhm.
Whereas men, we have a lot of pride, we have a lot of ego, right? It's just who we are as creatures, right?
Yeah.
And so he talks about how to not call yourself, you know, as a disability,
Right.
because you truly believe that. When to your point, when you say it's a superpower, I say the same thing about addiction, right?
Mhm.
I think my addiction is definitely tied to my ADHD in
Right.
so many ways, right? And so we shot a podcast talking specifically about addiction
Mhm.
because it was like addiction's not a death sentence. Like NA and AA tells you, like you're fucked for life. That's what NA and NA tells you, right?
That's why.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm not gonna bash the
No, for sure.
but because it has a place, right? NA and AA have a place, right? But when I went through rehab, I went through a behavioral modification program,
Mhm.
which was the hardest freaking program that existed at the time when I was going through rehab.
Yeah, it's cognitive behavior. That's what it is, man.
Thank you,
It's
dude.
like, you know, not to interrupt, but like I've been in Christian-based rehab. I was down at fucking Salvation Army downtown. I've been there, done that too. And my thing was like, also in these programs, A and A, not knocking them. There's a time and a place for it. But I say it's just like the Bible. You know, like I said, you know, I call my higher power the universe. Some people call him God. The reason why I call mine the universe, higher power is the universe, because it's more universally accepting. Because I don't believe it's just like I pick and choose what makes sense to me. And I truly believe if I live like, we all know what's the difference between right and wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I do not believe the creator out there is going to say, you know what? You didn't do this and this. You know, you lived a great life, but you didn't go to church every Sunday. I don't believe that's not going to grant me access to whatever the next step.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I just pick and choose what works for me. But like, you know, with AA and NA, they label you as that. You're like, you're a disease. You got to do this. You're fucked forever. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, either you have to go to these meetings. And, you know, it's like, understand. But then I kind of just like replacing the ism with this.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no, you know, and there's great meetings out there. And I could recommend some awesome ones, in the county especially. But it's like, it's just, that wasn't for me. And what I learned is the cognitive behavior. Again, talking about using, you know, weed slowed me down, right? But like opioids made me focused.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? But the other thing too is like opioids, meth even, you know what I mean? And like drinking, what it made me feel was fucking good again. Because again, you know, the long-winded how'd I get here kind of thing. I went through so much trauma at such a young age that never got dealt with.
Mm.
I call myself, when it comes to using, and so again, Mary, I didn't tell my parents about this till 8th or 9th grade. And I remember my mom being like, oh, you know, but my mom has her own background. My mom ran away from, my mom's 82, right? She's an old lady. She ran away from, she's alive. She's up in Washington. But she ran away from home. She's from the East Coast, from Ohio. And she grew up in a house that had zero love. She ran away from home at 16 years old. Her own mother gave her up for adoption. Her and her sisters gave them up for adoption, adopted my mom back out, left the sisters. My mom never found her sister. Never know who my aunts is, what it is. But my mom, she left that. My mom went through childhood, like physical abuse, emotional abuse, all there's a lot to my mom. Trauma's inherited. So a lot of this, so what I'm saying is my mom, she had it tough. She had it rough. So my mom's answer is, well, get over it.
That's
I can't blame. That's how she had to do it, because her story is she took on 6 kids and an abusive husband.
Yeah.
Who, when she finally got the courage to leave him, took her partials from her. We're talking about her teeth. You know what I'm saying? And my mom, what she had to do is, you know, so she had, before she found my dad, had to take care of these 6 kids on her own. And she says, well, I'm not cute enough to put it on the street. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So she worked in a man's world. My mom worked at Firestone making tires. And my mom was one of the first women. I love my mother. My mom was one of the first women to graduate from a welding school in Long Beach, California. One of the first women to work at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard, where they didn't have women's bathrooms and shit like that. She said, I saw these fools drop their pants in front of me to change. And he says, well, you got to take it like it is, bitch. You know what I mean? So my mom's tough.
You know. Yep.
My mom is tough. She's the sweetest person I know. But if you cross her, she'll crack you with the hose. I've seen it. I've seen it. You know what I'm saying? She's tough because she had to be. And so she instilled that in me. So a lot of my good characteristics, you know, I say I say my dad's a gangster, my mom's a gangster. Yeah. In her own right. Yeah. You know? But like a lot of my tough qualities, my persistence, my resilience comes from my mother. You know? I can call my dad, he's a wussy. Because he kept running away from his problems. He didn't face them on. But my mom, comes from her, you know? But however, I also inherited some bad traits. Put it under the rug. And also having the Mexican dad, the machismo, we don't talk about this stuff. Yeah. You know, there's some traumas my dad went through that I was unaware of until he died. I learned after he died. Yeah. You know, my dad, and you know, like after I beat him up and stuff, I remember telling him sorry. He's like, it's all right. I shot my own dad. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So he's like, he's like, it is what it is, boy. You know?
I will, I will share this with you as you talk about your parents.
You know,
I was talking to 90% of my client base are females. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a reason why. Like you talk about your creator, I think my God has told me that I always say the same thing, that females are some of the strongest creatures on this planet.
Yeah.
Right? And my mom was one of the strongest people that I also know. I can kind of relate to you from that perspective. But one of the things that we did for Mother's Day, and it was very, very special last year, one of my coaches said, hey, as moms, we always put everybody else first. Like there's always somebody else, and then it's them. And they're the very resilient creatures. And one of the moms had shared that she had, you know, she didn't know she was being a good mom. Mm-hmm. And I made this statement, and one of my other coaches made this statement. Our jobs as parents, especially as mothers, is to screw our kids up less than we were screwed up.
Right.
And so it's like, because we're only doing what we were taught to do.
Right.
Right. And so I have a grandson. Mm-hmm. I'm 48 years old. I have a grandson. My son come to me and he's like, hey, Dad, I'm scared. I said, why, son? And he said, well, I don't want my kids to have a fucking rough childhood like I did. And I stopped him right there. And I said, hey, son, you're talking to me right now, right? And he's like, yeah, what's the point? And I said, well, when I got your mom pregnant with your older sister, my dad was dead and he wasn't here.
Right.
The fact that you're talking to me right now means that we're changing a cycle that was created many years ago, right? Exactly. And the same could be said to you, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, the same could be said to you. You're a change maker in this world right now because you're making sure your son's not being your son's head's not be put in a fucking oven,
right?
And locked into a fucking shed with scary movies and shit. He's actually being nurtured,
right,
and cared for.
Yeah,
and that's a change of legacy that you're creating.
I was going to say the whole thing about breaking the cycle of trauma. Like I said, it's inherited, right? And for me, the aha moment, like, like, oh shit, like I went this with him. You know what I mean? There's so much that can be said, but like, that real quick, talking about the using again. So what I realized with all this trauma that I went through, and fast forward to healing I've gone through with the multiple programs I've been in and out, from 18 to 27 years old. I've been in jail more times than I can count. The thing was when I started actually, and I started going to AA when I was 14. I started getting assigned to go programs in anger management, AA, like NA, when I was 14 years old. And literally, it didn't. And the reason I finally turned it around, was because when I found out my son was coming, I had just gone out. I was on house arrest for something else. My dad had limited time left on this earth. He had renal cell carcinoma. We didn't know when he was going to die. And I was like, I want to give. I had nothing. The only thing I knew how to do was sell drugs, and I was really bad at it because you can't be a monkey and sell bananas, right? And like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, I was not a good dealer, dude.
Yeah.
I
am my own supply, baby.
Yeah, but like, I was like, I have two things I need to do. I want my dad to leave this world under knowing I'm gonna be okay. Even that period of time, he was going through he was using again, but it's kind of hard to take it away from him when he was going through what he was going through. He was going through some heavy shit because cancer sucks, And then my son, I'm like, I don't want him to see this. I don't want him to ever see me loaded the way I saw my dad, the way I've been loaded. I don't want him to see any of the violence that I experienced or anything like that. I want that. And I don't want him to suffer the way I suffered, the way this family suffered, all their fucking trauma. My mom's trauma, my dad's trauma. I inherited all that trauma. I went through my own fucking trauma. And why did I use for so long? I used from 14 years old to about 27, 28 years. I'll have, my son's 10. So I just got my 11 years back in September. So
talked about that when
I realized with using, again, the AA and NA, we're talking about cognitive behavior. The thing was, I like to call myself, I'm an escape artist.
Ooh.
When I used, felt good. I didn't have to think about what I didn't. So anytime I had stress, I used. That makes sense? Anytime I thought about the shit I went through, I used. And so the thing was, all right, the answer is let's just stay loaded 24/7. From 14 years old, about 28 years old, I was under influence of something every freaking day. I didn't have a drug. Anything got me out of my own mind. It helped me escape. I used. Even locked up. There's times I got locked up with nothing in my pocket and I came out with more drugs than I came in with.
There's more dope
straight
inside
up,
than there is
straight
outside,
up, dude.
yeah.
Like I found that there's a will, there's a way. I used, And like I said, when I found out my son's coming, I did.
Yeah.
Did it.
So I'm sorry. I want to jump forward here a little bit because I do want to talk about the foundation.
Yes.
That's why we came here to talk about this, because I want to hear more about this. And this kind of goes into the generational change aspect here in you starting up Heavy Breathing Foundation, but it's all based on the powerlifting thing, which then again services what you were into as a youth, working out, having that outlet as that goes. Let's go into going into the how do you get started with this? Like, because I assume, and I'm sorry I don't know this, but I assume you competed in powerlifting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the outlet kind of is, the foundation aspect of it.
Yeah.
And you've seen what that has done for you as far as your mental and your physical and your outlet.
Yeah.
So kind of go through that, going from your competitive side of things into, you know what, this might be a great outlet for others.
Right.
How does that go on in your mind?
How to mold, how to form.
How to form, because that in itself is an interesting way from your childhood and your youth, as because I'm sure you growing up never would have thought you would have had a foundation of this sorts, right? That is affecting so many underserved individuals.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd be alive. I thought I'd be dead by 30. So the way the foundation happened was I fell into powerlifting. The way I fell into powerlifting was, again, when I found out my son was coming, I was, just got off. My dad passed away and I gave him 4 months clean, right? Quit using, quit drinking, still eating those jailhouse spreads. You know what I'm talking about? Throwing everything you can in a bag with all the condiments, stuff like that. And I got about 3. wasn't necessarily my new addiction was food, but like I was at my worst, I weighed 167. I was sucked up. And when I got big, moved up here to Escondido, I was like, I need to do something about it. All right, I got a little bit of funds. I'm going to invest in a personal trainer. Right. But the thing was, I was also real quick. When I was locked up, there's a book I found under my bed called Jailhouse Strong. Right. It's written by my mentor, one of my great friends, Josh Bryant, coaches strong, best coaches. In that book, and I always like bench pressing. In that book, he talked about how he's the youngest person to bench 600 bench press. And that book gave me a system and structure and something to look forward to. Locked up, jailhouse workouts, body weight, and that's when I was like, okay, I had something to look. So movement was healing. That from the beginning. And once I got out, you know, I could afford a gym pass by recycling cans and stuff. I told that I hired this guy, hit him up. I didn't even know what powerlifting was. I just knew he lifted. Hit him up. I'm like, hey, I want to do this. Da, da, da. He's like, cool. Send me an invoice for $450. Didn't even have a conversation. Just send me an invoice. All right, well, I got to save for that. So it took me about 6 months to save for it, and hired him, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, during that period of time, though, I was working with a personal trainer who specialized in powerlifting, right? And excelled at that. I mean, I blew up real quick with, you know, what I liked about powerlifting was you didn't have to be this guy on stage posing. Anyone, mass moves mass. Didn't matter what you look like. You know, I feel like everyone kind of was accepted. Right? Still, I'm learning how to walk again, basically, bro. I just got done using for half my freaking life. You know, I didn't even know if I liked myself clean and sober. And so here I am, been under the influence for the last 14 years, and I can at least like I'm uncomfortable in the gym where like, you know, there's all the vanity and posing and flexing and stuff like that. But with strength training, it didn't matter what you looked like. So I felt more acceptable. That's why I went. Also, it seems a lot easier to pick up something one time. You know what I'm saying? And so this guy took me under his wing and, you know, he was coaching me and stuff like that. And like during that period of time, I was trying to find a job. And it was really hard to find a job. When
you were affording this trainer with recycling cans and just doing.
My dad passed away and I inherited some money.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I had a little bit, smartest thing I could do was I bought a house. Because shit hits the fan, I can sell the house. Bought the house and I had just enough funds to where I can allocate X amount a month. And again, I was doing odd jobs, recycling and stuff like that, to afford this trainer, right? But during that period of time, you know, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to be a cabinet maker like my dad. Got fired because I sucked at it. I am not. You don't give me a hammer. That's why I married my wife.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. She's the handyman. I'm just we can buy that. Like you know what I mean? Whatever. Yeah. But I was accelerating with the lifting, and I was smart because again, I was obsessive, right? My free time was studying the books, studying the podcast, reading, looking at the YouTube videos, and I was living, breathing. The only thing that mattered to me was powerlifting. I was obsessed with it. Talk about passion versus obsession later, but obsessed with it. And he's like, hey, you can work here. Go get a cert. So he told me, so I went and got the cert that my mentor, Josh Bryant, before I was working with this guy before I hired him. But I remember he was working for this company, ISSA, so that's the first cert I got. And that one was made by Dr. Hatfield, first guy to squat 1,000 pounds. So the strength chapter is like huge compared to the rest of the book. Got my cert in like, it was supposed to be like a 6-month thing, got in like 30 days. And I was able to start working inside this facility, this little small gym, right? Like it's less than 1,000 square feet, right? All I had was a power rack, pull-up bar, weights up to like 80 pounds, like dumbbells, and a deadlift bar and an SSB bar. And I learned everything I did in that little closet. I would be there from like 5 a.m. in the morning to about 9 p.m. at night every day because this guy just funneled me clients, dude. And I was making good money, what I consider good money at that time, more money than I ever made. You know what I mean? And it was enough to where I could put food on the table, pay my bills, and not stop tapping into the resources that we had limited of. And I could then, okay, I'm going to go hire this other guy. But it was during that period of time, you know, I started realizing like, yo, like, that's not so much why am I so good at this? Like, why did I do so well? And it was because strength training has a system and structure. There's no room for the bullshit when you're doing it. If you want to be your strongest, it's like, all right, I have to sleep 8 to 9 hours a day. I have to eat X amount of calories a day, this amount of carbs, this amount of fats. I got to take this supplement. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no room for the partying. So you have to, I'm not saying you have to be a square, but you have to live your best to be your best. And I always tell my athletes when they start slipping, I don't know why. So it's because you're not acting elite. You want to be elite? Act elite. That's what powerlifting did for me. Taught me how to be elite, right? And that was a great experience. Unfortunately, me and him had to cut ties, right? And I ended up going to Ironmonger's gym. I was there for about 2 years, and I ended up going to Ironmonger's gym here in Vista, where Rick Simmons gave me a chance where I was his first coach that he actually let in there, right? And he never charged me a rent, never let ego get in the way. I just want to drop my hat to him because Rick is part of the reason why I am where I am today, why the foundation is where it is today. And I was just doing this shit under the table, collecting payments in cash, Venmo, whatever. And it was during COVID when I was like, hey, when it should have been a hard time to get things going, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this legit. And I made an LLC. And during COVID, I started accelerating, right? Now, is during this period of time, again, I was coaching like mostly in person. I had, I'd be coaching like 6, 8.
Time for money.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because everyone's,
Yep.
Ironmonger stayed open. So a lot of people were driving up from Chula Vista down from Orange County to train at the facility because Vista Sheriff didn't shut nothing down, right? It was the city police that would shut things down. And business started accelerating. And I was coaching a lot of people in 50-50, most men and women, right? And I started noticing the people I was working with. And this is where I'm going to blow everyone's mind. This is when I started realizing that trauma attracts trauma.
Facts.
The people that were choosing to work with me were all coming out of something. Whether it matter if it's a guy or a lady, it could be reintegration. They've been locked up for X amount of time, and now they're working with me. It could be addiction, and they didn't even know we were addicts, right? Or that we both had that in common. It could be women going through domestic abuse. And the reason why I know all this stuff is because I was working in person. If you ever worked in person as a trainer, you know that you are a therapist. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Straight up. Even if you're not giving them, you're not I shouldn't say therapist. You are a group processor because I don't give therapy, but I can listen. Yeah. And I was like, well, maybe try this. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're laying out, especially even after work, people just trauma dump on you. And I started going like, hey, it's like, all these different people I'm working with, for all these different walks of lives. I mean, cops were hiring. That's what's funny to me. Instead of running from them, they're hiring.
Cops have traumas too.
Right. Harvard lawyers were hiring me. You know what I'm saying? I had multiple lawyers hiring me at this point. And I just realized that all these people are going through all this stuff and they're all just like I did, chose to use the barbell as a metaphor, basically. Right? The world beat us up, broke us down, all the way down to the ground. And we chose strength training to build ourselves back up. That was the metaphor of the barbell. That was my aha moment. I was like, yo, I can do something with this. Because during that period of time, I was working with a gentleman. His name is Tommy. We have a little grant we call the Tommy gun, right? Tommy's no longer here with us. But Tommy, there's multiple influences why the foundation started, and he's pivotal. I met him the day after Thanksgiving, 2019. And he came in the room, and he had more tattoos. Right? Part of the reason I have all these tattoos, I let Tommy doodle all over me. I have multiple friends I've just let doodle. Right? But Tommy had tattoos on his face. He had this crazy lion mane of hair. And he's the most explosive person I ever met, not just physically, but he walked in a room, it's Tommy. He had this smile. He's from Boston. He's Irish. He's just this great. Love Tommy. I miss you with all my heart, homie. Either way, like we connected immediately because trauma attracts trauma. He was going through recovery from heroin. And towards the end, my big drug was heroin because I was physically dependent on that. Crazy. But either way, I remember when I met him, I was like, yo, like, I want to be your friend. Like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But like, he's in the gym, he's kind of looking around, not scared, but like, this is a new environment. I'm like, tell me what's up. And he's telling me, I'm in this transitional housing. He was a combat vet, Iraq. And he's like, I'm in this program right now with the courts in La Jolla. That's where I have to live right now. He's like, but I go to meetings up here. My family's up here. He leaves during the day to see his wife and kid. My family's up here, and I go to these meetings up here. My sponsor's up here. So I wanted to check out this gym because I'm getting into powerlifting. I was like, all right, check it out. I need a training partner. These are the hours I train, the days I train. You show up at those times, I will absolutely coach you. Right? And he'd be there an hour early. He says, hey, I'm here. Just when you get here, I'm like, all right, cool. And during our time together, that was Tommy's longest period of sobriety. Of alcohol and drugs. I was about an 18-month until unfortunately he fell back into old habits, and that's a whole thing itself too. But Tommy was a big inspiration for the foundation, and so that's one thing that influenced me. And then again, the aha moment coming later that trauma attracts trauma. I can do something with this, and something I loved about Tommy was part of AA. He was big in AA. Part of AA, the 12th step is what? Remember it? Is giving back. Giving back, right? 12, that's where I always felt. Because even in my own recovery, I always kind of carried like resentment around, And Tommy I would say he gave back almost to a fault. His phone would ring. He's like, I have to go. There's a brother in me. He could be someone locked up in a hotel room drinking their sorrow away. He would drop everything to be of service to someone that was suffering. And I was like, that's what I'm missing. It's all about me, 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 me. I'm so fucking selfish. Recovery, you're supposed to be selfish for yourself, but if you really want to grow, you have to learn how to be selfless too. And I have a lot part, said I did AA for a bit, and one of the steps is identifying everything you did wrong, your character defects, and coming clean to someone about it and telling all your shit. And you have to go and make amends to the people you wronged too, right? But you don't make amends to people if you don't know their name, you don't know where they live, right? And you can't make amends to people if it's going to cause more harm to them or harm to yourself. You might say, hey, I did this, and all of a sudden you get beat up. Like, it is what it is. But I carried around resentment. I think part was like, I don't have the ability to say sorry. Sometimes people don't have the ability to give back. I says, I can create something that give back to the community. Because for me, it's like, I'm having just like that season during COVID, I was just getting aha moment after aha moment. Like, if only everybody understood how this works, because powerlifting taught me the things AA, NA, the institutions try to teach me. And those pillars are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. But a big part of it, keep coming back and work it. That never made sense to me. What I'm trying to say is just consistency and patience. Yeah. And that's where I'm like, holy shit, because I always tell my clients, there is no magic pill, there's no shortcut. 'Cause I always try to find the shortcut to getting stronger. There isn't one. The shortcut is you. You're the magic pill. It's the consistency and patience. You have to wait for the result. Just like it took me, I tore myself down for 14 years. I'm not going to get to where I want to be overnight. I just try to accelerate it, try to run but sprint to the end. Either get hurt under the bar or hurt myself, burn myself. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, if I create, it's like I can create these pillars and create something. And it's like, where'd the name come from? The Heavy Breathing Foundation, because all my aha moments came under heavy breathing, not breath work, bro. I'm talking about after a crazy set in the gym, I'm sitting there like breathing, and that's like tuning out the world, isolated with my thoughts. The iron isn't therapy, but it sure does help me process, right? Heavy breathing, throwing in the back of the cop car, throwing in the cell by myself. Now I have to reflect on the shit I'd done. Heavy breathing. That's why I had the shit fucking blasted on my head. Heavy. Because I've lived a heavy life, But that's how we came up with the term, the heavy breathing fountain. Because that's where, again, the isolated thoughts, the aha moments, it all came to me under heavy breathing. Make this beautiful thing out of such a, look at it as kind of an ugly sport. Powerlifting is just like, it's so like crude, like, you know what I mean?
But that's your life too, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Your life, I always say there's beauty in sorrow, right? And we have a lot of lifetime of sorrow, right? And now you have this beautiful organization that is serving underserved people, right? But if you had never gone through the sorrow that you went through in your life, honest to God, firm believer that there would have been no beauty.
Oh, for sure.
Right? You would have been like those kids in Rancho Bernardo, Rancho Penasquitos, chilling, like just living the fucking cush life, right?
Right.
But because we know sorrow, we know that the beautiful moments are definitely there.
Yeah. And like anytime I was locked up in the halfway houses, the rehabs and stuff, the only thing I had to look forward to was, I know how important it is to have something to look forward to, especially you only have a resume of hard times.
Yeah.
The hardest part of getting clean and stopping the bullshit is trying to have a good day. Because if your resume is only bad times, it's kind of hard to be positive in this stuff. Oh, it's going to come. You got to be patient, right? So it's really important. I tell people, it's like they're new in recovery or whatever trauma they're going through, whatever they're working through. I'm like, what's the secret? Create something. And that's what I try to do. Try to create something. That's how the weights work, right? And so the foundation, before we even got with the youth, all right, I'm going to create this foundation, pay for gym, because I know what it's like to, I'm going to pay the bills this month, and I'm going to pay for the gym. I don't want to lose the gym because I need this. You know what I mean? And so, again, working with the server at-risk individuals, like for the adults at the time, or before, the idea is what we do now. As long as you're doing the work, like say you're on probation or whatever, right? All right. As long as you're doing the work, because I ain't your PO, I ain't your therapist, I ain't your daddy, right? But as long as you're doing the work that you're supposed to do to help level up out of your situation, then I'll give you something. I'll pay for that pass. Because I want you to go do what you got to do, go get a job, save your money, get yourself on your feet. You know what I'm saying? And through this, again, this is where we kind of teach accountability, because some people come in the session, and I'm like this, or I thought about this. Maybe take the suggestion. Gotta have the willingness to do it.
Yeah.
Biggest part of how do I get in the heavy vision? You have to have the willingness to make a change. Right?
And everybody that's coming out of a arrest situation has the willingness, to your point, right? I mean, going back to what you said in prison or when you were in jail, right? There's more drugs and dope in jails. Where you find a will, there's a way. We talk about addiction or ADHD and addiction being a superpower. I think it's a great analogy to know that it is a superpower, because that same drive that you took to find your dope, same drive that you did to hide from your demons, like, is the same drive that makes the Heavy Breathing Foundation what it is today.
Yeah.
Just applied differently.
Yeah.
How do you raise funds? Like, how do you do like competitions where people pay to get in? Like, how does that whole does that whole entire
So the way we do the funds, right? And also, I just want to say, so I started 501c3 at the same time I started LLC. But how do we raise the funds? I just asked for it.
He goes on campaigns, bro.
There you go.
Hey, write him a check, bro. Shit.
That's what politicians taught me, dog.
Yeah.
For real though, I don't like asking for money without doing something in return. Right? I work hard for my cash. I like to be transparent about the things that we do. Right? In the beginning, the way we asked for funds was just tell people what the mission was. And if you support this, please donate. And it's not like thousands of dollars or like it's nothing.
Right.
But again, with powerlifting, I am a director for a powerlifting federation. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna host an event called the Heavy Breathing Standard. Standard because it sets the standard for the events of the year, how they should be, right? Because I run very good. Anyways, the standard is going to be a fundraiser. All proceeds are ran through all tickets. You sign up to compete, the $150, $160, whatever it is, runs through the 501c3.
Got it.
It's your donation to the foundation.
Got it.
Right?
There you go.
Right. And so that first 18 months, I ran an event every 12 weeks. Fucking ran it. you know, burned myself out, but was able to operate, was able to start paying operating costs, get other people on board, social media team. And, with that, just use the money smart. Okay, we got these funds now. Let's do a shirt drop. Your donation gets you a shirt. And stuff like that. Just start making. And the thing is, like, everything I do, I take pride in. I don't just make a shirt to make a shirt. I make a shirt that I'm proud to wear, that I want to know the community's going to be proud to wear. So I don't just Photoshop or whatever the fuck. I pay legit artists to make something that I know is dope and people remember, right? Everybody don't like what I like. You know what I mean? I like my shit heavy, dude. I grew up, I love death metal, thrash metal, all that stuff. Like, dark might look fun to some people, but it might not be everybody's taste or flavor. But you tell people too, hey, you don't have to buy a shirt for you. You buy a shirt for a student. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And so just kind of doing things like that to help raise money. But a big part of the way we started was we ran these meets, these powerlifting competitions, and the proceeds would go towards the foundation, right? And that's really it. And then also too, like chasing grants, and I'll tell you right now, anyone listening, like, it's like people ask my advice, how do you get a grant? You have to know somebody. It's straight up, dude.
It's tough.
It's tough. And so what do? I joined the Chamber of Commerce, go to city council meetings. I'm out there, like I said earlier, I'm shaking hands, kissing babies, all that stuff. It's what you need to do. If you want the best advice I can give you, if you're trying to be seen, is make noise.
Yep.
You're never going to be heard if you don't make some noise. So I go out there and I feel like I'm just pitching all day long, but like I tell people, they want to ask what it's about, you're going to hear what it's about. And I'm telling you right now, I can walk in any room, and this isn't being cocky, this is just facts, because I know what I'm doing is dope. I know what I'm doing is needed and has a reason. There's a reason for it to be. Like, it's needed here in the community. I can walk in any room, confident, shake a hand, tell people what's up, and they want to be a part of it somehow, whether it's donating some equipment, purchasing some merch, or some money out of their pocket. You know what I mean? And just help building what we're trying to build in the future. We're still just figuring it out. The student thing came later on after I was like, you know what, dude, the adult thing is great. But again, seeds of change will come with the youth, right? My big dream with the foundation is our own resource center, Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
I want to, and again, I'm not the end all be all. So what I do during the day? I go out there and I meet what I call other pillars in the community, like you in your gym, and try to make collaboration. collaboration over competition. It's like, how can we work together? How can I help you grow? How can you know what I'm saying? And I'm just out there meeting with Vista Community Clinic, other organizations like Resilience 760 over here. It's like, how can we keep collaborating together, going to schools and stuff like that, soft pitching, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like that's what I do. all
And
day
did I
long.
see you do have connections with like Oceanside School District and all this stuff, or
Vista Unified?
Vista Unified.
Yeah,
Got it.
we volunteered at Oceanside School. When we first started, we're at Jefferson Middle School for about like 6 months or whatever.
Okay.
And that was middle school. And it didn't carry on. No fault to anyone, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when I started back in August 2024, I really want to push this youth initiative. Someone from Vista reached out to us to come over to MGM High School over here. And we donated our time for about 6 months. And like, hey, there's a need for you. It was called an MOU, which is a contract commitment school.
Mm-hmm.
And during that period of time, we also went to their sister school, Alta Vista, and they liked what we're doing. We developed an MOU contract with them. And then I speak sometimes as well, share my testimony for the youth to hear. And I spoke at Innovation High School, and I guess they really liked what they heard last October 2024. And like, I remember the staff ran up, like, how do we get you in here? I'm like, tell me. Like, it's all, I'm just learning as we go too, dude. And like MOUs take long. They don't take about almost 9 months to get into that school, but we now have 3 commitments with these schools. So now we're actually getting paid for the work we're doing. But the goal is to be able to chase these grants where you don't necessarily have to tap the school for this too. Saying some of these community schools, they don't have much money either. You know what I mean? They're chasing funds and stuff.
Yeah, but the MLU, they go through the foundation. Yeah,
the MOU is a contract. So we're not employees of Vista Unified. Yeah. We're a contract worker, right? So that's what the MOU contract. So just an agreement between us and the school, like what,
Got it.
And again, with the kids what we're doing with the work in the schools here is where we fit in. And then this is just with the schools, stuff we do outside of school too, with students too, with the schools, these kids these are alternative education, right? I like saying that over continuation school because there's a stigma to it, labeling, right? And one thing everyone goes to continuation school, bad kid. And one thing we're really trying to do with the foundation right now is a mission for us this next year, because we've been having these meetings with counselors and the parents and stuff like that, is change the perspective in the community what an alternative education is. Again, not every kid that goes to one's a bad kid. There's definitely kids who messed up and had to go there because they got kicked out or something like that. But some of these kids just have different learning lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Or they have to be taught, right? So we're trying to paint that picture or whatever. So these kids that go to these schools don't necessarily have staff that can run a PE. Yeah. Right? And so we're the staff. We're the coaches. And our special thing that we bring is strength sports. We drop the powerlifting thing. I then drop powerlifting. But it's kind of like my coaching. If I call myself a powerlifting coach, I'm diminishing my worth and my value. Mm-hmm. So we teach physical culture, right? Nice. So strongman implements, powerlifting implements, bodybuilding, whatever gets them moving, because moving heals, right? But we bring something fun for them to do usually. Because like especially strongman really hits it off. You know the carnival, you walk by the thing, you have a hammer, you hit it, it tells you how strong you are. That's engaging. Anyone can walk up and do that, right? Sometimes a barbell can be intimidating. It takes time to get kids warm up to the bars. You like, strongman could be like, hey, pick up that trap bar and just walk off. He's got 300 pounds on it, but you can pick it up and walk with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Something like that.
That's cool.
But so you can't pack it, learn PE. So we bring it to them, so they're getting credits to graduate by doing strength stuff. So kids, hey, you don't have to do this. We're just a supplemental tool in your classroom, but you have to be moving. So you either be in here and learn something about the way we do, or you can be out there walking laps. And most of the time, they choose to be with us.
Yeah, I'd rather be behind the bar than fucking walking laps.
Yeah,
but...
and they're walking laps. If they choose to walk laps, I'm like, cool, take this 20-pound kettlebell.
Yeah. Bring it back in one piece, please. Yeah. That's cool.
We've only been doing that. This is our second school year doing it. So last year, we earned our keep. They asked for us back. This is our second school year doing it. And nice. I've had conversations with Vista High School, their main campus. There's a possibility we might be there. My goal is to at least try to get into 1 or 2 more high schools this year. It doesn't have to just be in Vista. Vista has definitely showed us the most love. I'll say that. And that's why I'm all about Vista. And that's why, like, if I ever build my resource, not ever, when I build my resource center, because that's going to be like a 5-year plan, because I need to develop these relationships. Like, again, being an ex-junkie, I like to tell people I'm a Swiss Army knife. I know I got someone for you. I know someone for you, And so I'm trying to develop these relationships so we can offer tutoring. We can offer resume. We can offer job placement stuff, but I have to build those relationships. I can't, if I do that all, there's no way.
Yeah.
So this year is really just Last year I say like this. Last year I fell into the chaos. Any opportunity I fell into that could get the foundation heard, I took it on, you know?
That's cool.
Now I can settle down, really fine tune it and build what I want to build, thinking ahead, right? I do think in our future too, we'll have our own little private gym up here one day. You know what I mean? I want to call it the Heavy Breathing Kennel Club. That's where all my dogs are at. But I think it'd be cool for the kids who, again, it's a place where it's very affordable, or the kids who can qualify to get in for free too, right? Or they have a safe place to go after school, lift, be surrounded by mentorship that have lived experience with whatever it is. You know what I mean? That's why being a part of the foundation, someone's like, how do I get involved, or what are the qualifications? Like, you don't have to be a lifter. You just had to survive. You just had to have sometimes just having lived experience and just being willing to listen to these kids.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of individual difference and specificity. All these kids, not all of them, but everyone's going through something different, you know? And so that's the beautiful part about the foundation is like, yeah, we're helping kids get credits. You know, when they graduate and end up carrying on and want to be a part of the foundation, then I start to really get to know them outside of school. You know, it's like, hey, like, oh man, his parents aren't really there. I'm the most consistent adult in this kid's, you know? So what can we do to get for you? You know, it's like, let's set some goals. That's a big part of the thing we're doing too is like, what can we do? I want to go to school. All right. I need to get a job. Resume. I want you know what I mean? And so these are the little seeds of change we're trying to
Love it.
Where can people find you?
So Instagram, the handle is long at This Is Heavy Breathing. Our website, heavybreathingfoundation.org. My personal handle is at Mike MDSM. Yeah, or like you're talking about the campuses, MGM High School, Alta Vista High School. Every Tuesday, Thursday, if you're a resident in North County, it's community-based school, meaning all you got to do is be a member of the community. You can roll through. You don't have to be a student of school. We have parents that come through in the neighborhood that work with my wife on nights sometimes, 4 to 7 p.m. just to learn about whether it's nutrition or stretching or advice on how to lift. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Yeah, because again, you're trying to just be healthy and get some movement or anything like that. A gym can be intimidating if you don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah, I think that's the reason why I opened up my gym. If we wanted to do an event, would I be able to reach out and you put on events too as well?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Because I saw what you guys did at North County and definitely sparked my interest.
Mhm.
You're doing something. So we do something similar. We call it, put a little Latin twist on it. Fuerza Fiesta. We just have like a PR weekend where all our members come through and slang weight. But I would love to be able to reach out to the community more and show them the significance of having more strength training in life, how important it is. Yeah.
Well, Mike, we'll definitely put some links to the website and Instagram on this episode so people can find you if they're listening in. So you've given us plenty of your time and we know you're busy. So thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story and sharing information about your foundation and just the background of that. I think it's awesome what you're doing.
Thank you.
Powerful.
So congratulations on everything.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.